In the ever-evolving landscape of global politics and economics, few figures are as outspoken and incisive as Jeffrey Sachs. Known for his deep expertise in economics, his candid opinions, and his unwavering commitment to evidence-based policy, Sachs has often found himself at the center of heated debates. When it comes to the subject of trade, especially in the context of the rhetoric and policies advanced by Donald Trump, Sachs has never shied away from expressing his views with clarity and, at times, biting humor. To understand the context of Sachs's remarks, it's essential to first consider the role that trade plays in the modern world. Trade is not merely an exchange of goods and services. It is the lifeblood of the global economy, facilitating innovation, spreading prosperity, and fostering interdependence among nations. The post-World War II era saw the creation of institutions and agreements designed to promote free and fair trade, with the aim of avoiding the destructive protectionism that had contributed to previous global conflicts. Enter Donald Trump, whose approach to trade as President of the United States marked a significant departure from the post-war consensus. Trump's America First agenda was characterized by skepticism toward multilateral agreements, a penchant for imposing tariffs, and a tendency to frame trade in zero-sum terms, as if every gain by another country must necessarily come at America's expense. These views were not only at odds with the prevailing wisdom among economists, but also, according to Sachs, fundamentally misunderstood the realities of the 21st century economy. When Jeffrey Sachs addresses Trump's trade policies, he does so with a combination of scholarly rigor and plain-spoken critique. He points out that the notion of trade deficits as inherently negative, a central theme in Trump's rhetoric, is a misconception. In fact, Sachs explains, trade deficits are not necessarily a sign of economic weakness. For a country like the United States, which issues the world's reserve currency and enjoys high levels of investment, a trade deficit can simply reflect strong domestic demand and the attractiveness of the U.S. as a destination for foreign capital. Sachs is quick to note that Trump's framing of international trade as a contest in which the U.S. must win or lose is not only misleading, but potentially dangerous. Trade is not a zero-sum game. It is, at its best, a mutually beneficial process that allows countries to specialize in what they do best, thereby increasing overall wealth and efficiency. By imposing tariffs and threatening trade wars, Trump risked undermining the very system that had helped fuel decades of global prosperity. It is in this context that Sachs's most memorable quip arises: "Mickey Mouse is smarter than him." With this line, Sachs is not merely indulging in personal insult. He is making a pointed observation about the level of economic understanding, or lack thereof, that he perceives in Trump's statements and policies. The reference to Mickey Mouse, a symbol of childlike innocence and naivety, is meant to underscore the gap between serious economic analysis and the simplistic narratives that often dominate political discourse. Sachs's critique extends beyond Trump's misunderstanding of trade balances. He is particularly concerned about the broader consequences of protectionist policies, not just for the U.S. economy, but for the global order. When a country as influential as the United States turns its back on multilateralism, it sends shockwaves through the international system. Allies become uncertain, adversaries emboldened, and the rules-based order that has underpinned decades of relative peace and prosperity is put at risk. One of the key points Sachs raises is the interconnectedness of modern supply chains. In today's world, products are rarely made in a single country from start to finish. Components are sourced from around the globe, assembled in multiple locations, and shipped to consumers everywhere. By imposing tariffs and disrupting these supply chains, Trump's policies threaten to raise costs for American businesses and consumers alike. Far from protecting American jobs, such measures could actually endanger them, as companies faced higher input costs and retaliatory actions from trading partners. Sachs also draws attention to the importance of global cooperation in addressing challenges that no single nation can solve alone. Issues like climate change, pandemics, and financial instability require collective action. Trade, in this context, is not just about economics. It is about building the relationships and trust necessary for tackling shared problems. When leaders retreat into nationalist rhetoric and unilateral action, they undermine the very foundations of international cooperation. Throughout his critique, Sachs emphasizes the need for honest, informed debate about trade policy. He acknowledges that the global trading system is not perfect and that there are legitimate grievances, such as the impact of technological change and globalization on certain communities, that must be addressed. However, he argues that the answer lies not in simplistic solutions or scapegoating other countries, but in thoughtful, evidence-based policy that recognizes the complexity of the modern economy. Sachs's willingness to speak bluntly about Trump's approach to trade is rooted in his broader commitment to truth-telling in public life. He believes that leaders have a responsibility to level with the public about the challenges and opportunities facing the nation. When politicians resort to slogans and sound bites instead of serious analysis, they do a disservice not only to their constituents, but to the country as a whole. The power of Sachs's critique lies in its combination of deep expertise and accessible language. He is able to distill complex economic concepts into terms that resonate with a broad audience, cutting through the fog of political spin. His humor, as evidenced by the Mickey Mouse remark, serves not only to entertain, but to puncture the pretensions of those who would substitute bluster for substance. Beyond the specifics of Trump's trade policy, Sachs's intervention speaks to a larger issue: the importance of expertise in public decision-making. In an era marked by the rise of populism and the rejection of elites, there is a danger that genuine knowledge and experience will be devalued. Sachs argues that, far from being a liability, expertise is essential for navigating the complexities of the modern world. Leaders must be willing to listen to those who have spent their lives studying the issues at hand, rather than relying on gut instinct or political expediency. Sachs's critique also raises questions about the role of the media in shaping public understanding of economic issues. Too often, he argues, coverage of trade and other complex topics is reduced to sound bites and sensationalism. The result is a public discourse that is ill-equipped to grapple with the real challenges facing the nation. Sachs calls for a renewed commitment to serious journalism and public education so that citizens can make informed choices about their future. At the heart of Sachs's message is a belief in the possibility of progress. He is not a cynic, nor does he believe that the problems facing the global economy are insurmountable. Rather, he insists that with the right leadership, informed by evidence, and guided by a sense of common purpose, it is possible to build a more just and prosperous world. But this requires a willingness to confront hard truths, to reject easy answers, and to engage in honest dialogue about the path forward. Sachs's remarks on Trump's trade talk are thus part of a broader call for integrity in public life. He challenges leaders to rise above the temptation to pander or mislead, and to instead embrace the responsibility that comes with power. For Sachs, the stakes could not be higher. The choices made today will shape the world for generations to come. Whether on trade, climate, or any of the great issues of our time, there is no substitute for wisdom, courage, and a commitment to the common good. In reflecting on Sachs's critique, it is worth considering the broader lessons for policymakers and citizens alike. First, it is essential to approach complex issues with humility and a willingness to learn. No leader, no matter how charismatic, has all the answers. The world is too interconnected, too dynamic, and too unpredictable for any one person to master it alone. Second, it is important to recognize the value of institutions and the rule of law. The international trading system, for all its flaws, represents decades of hard work by people from around the world who sought to create a framework for cooperation and mutual benefit. To discard this legacy lightly is to risk unraveling the fabric of global stability. Third, there is a need for empathy and solidarity. The disruptions caused by globalization and technological change are real, and they have left many people feeling left behind. Addressing these challenges requires not only sound economic policy, but also a commitment to social justice and inclusion. Protectionism and scapegoating may offer the illusion of security, but they do nothing to address the root causes of dislocation. Finally, Sachs's intervention is a reminder of the power of truth. In a time when misinformation and demagoguery are rampant, it is more important than ever to insist on honesty and accountability. Leaders must be held to a high standard, and citizens must demand that those in power respect the facts. As the world continues to grapple with the fallout from the Trump era, Sachs's voice remains an important one. His willingness to speak out, to challenge conventional wisdom, and to demand better from those in power is a testament to the enduring importance of critical thinking and public engagement. Whether one agrees with all of his views or not, there is no denying the force of his arguments or the urgency of his message. In the end, the debate over trade is about more than tariffs and deficits. It is about the kind of society we want to build. Do we retreat into narrow self-interest, or do we embrace the possibilities of cooperation and shared prosperity? Do we allow fear and ignorance to dictate our choices, or do we insist on reason and openness? Sachs's critique of Trump's trade talk is, at its core, a call to choose the latter path, to aspire to something greater than the politics of division and short-term gain. As the world looks to the future, the lessons of the past few years are clear. Economic nationalism and protectionism may offer easy answers, but they come at a high cost. The challenges of the 21st century, from climate change to inequality to technological disruption, demand solutions that are as bold as they are thoughtful. Leaders must be willing to listen, to learn, and to lead with integrity. For Jeffrey Sachs, the stakes could not be clearer. The world stands at a crossroads, and the choices made today will reverberate for decades to come. It is up to all of us, leaders, experts, and citizens alike, to ensure that those choices are guided by wisdom, compassion, and a commitment to the common good. Only then can we hope to build a future worthy of our highest aspirations. In sum, Sachs's sharp rebuke of Trump's trade policies is not just a critique of one man or one administration. It is a rallying cry for a more informed, more principled, and more hopeful approach to the great questions of our time. It is a reminder that, in the end, the intelligence and decency of our leaders matter, and that, as Sachs so memorably put it, we should expect at least as much wisdom from those who hold power as we do from the most beloved of cartoon characters.